Hello there, Commonwealth Realm here. Tears of the Kingdom is totally a 3-layer vertical open world experience, especially after this trailer. Building on the trinity of power, wisdom and courage. Power and malice of the underground, wisdom of the surface and courage of the sky. So be sure to leave a like as we go for 2023 of them, subscribe and press that notification bell to bring us to 333,333 subscribers, and our giveaway as there's no limit to the genius of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom's open world. Now then, what is so genius? The depth and seamless nature of it all. Never before in a video game have we seen such a wide variety of landscapes, combined with large chunks of land in the sky in a one and single video game. Breath of the Wild's surface alone was mind-blowing, but this right here is taking it to the next level and even beyond, just like series producer Eiji Aonuma promised last year, as this is the first truly vertical rather than horizontal open world experience. Nothing like this has ever been tried before, and as such we need to detail its massive depth as a response to some critical voices saying that this game is just like Breath of the Wild, wide as an ocean but deep as a puddle. And to that I have to say, it really goes without saying that there's now more depth than ever, hence we're going to divide this video into 3 sections, from hell to the more hellish than before surface to the nearly equally dangerous and mysterious trials of the sky. Underground, the domain of power and malice. Until Wednesday, February 8, 2023, and for some of you Thursday, February 9, 2023, we had 2 seconds of underground gameplay footage from what appears to be a significant part of the game, a layer of the world that is at last meeting the massive expectations we set for it in 2019 when we started comparing it to the massive underground network of a certain salt mine. It is dark, humid, and filled with malice-infused enemies craving Link's blood. It is wonderful. And in return, Link also craves the Malice monster's weapons and other loot. As the saying goes, live by the sword, die by the sword. Well, that and what looked like a massive Zonai sledgehammer, but instead is an explosive projectile weapon. Perfect to target foes like the stone talus right here. Explosion! Yes, blow it all up with far more strength than bomb arrows and proximity bombs. That is the strength of Zonai tech, which we will be returning to on numerous occasions throughout this video. Though in certain situations underground, we will also have to run or risk getting crushed by the altered giant Hinox. And this scenario right here is the realization of the missed potential, or more precisely cut content from Twilight Princess, of Armagoma chasing Link in a similar linear section. Or if you prefer, proof that the Zelda team is using Tears of the Kingdom to address any regrets, unfulfilled promise, or missed potential from past 3D Zelda games. A game that with its endless combinations is used to fulfill one goal, no longer hold back and deliver the ultimate Zelda experience in all layers that we humans can explore without breaking the boundary of gravitation and going to, well, space! Joking aside, this scene right here of a single bokoblin mining precious stones in an underground forest is all you need to know that the Zelda team did not lie when Eiji Aonuma said that the world of Tears of the Kingdom goes beyond the existing surface and the new sky, as the underground is equally as new as the sky above, but had to be kept back in the marketing up to this point to highlight the massive new sky, which is found in all of the game's marketing, and in particular the collector's edition, and don't worry, we'll naturally return back to the sky at the end of this video. For now we can at least breathe relieved knowing that the underground is more than just the opening area where Ganondorf pulls the ultimate Uno reverse card on Link and Zelda. But with that being said, and potential spirit particles like the ones found in Twilight Princess next to these Malice foes, we can conclude that the underground is no doubt based on Twilight Princess' unrealized potential. Out of the constant darkness, we're certain of facing far more creepy, nightmare-inducing enemies, and the new readouts in this literal hell. So the aim is to stay alive to make our way out of this death trap up to perhaps a slightly more safe surface. The former home of wisdom and Sheikah tech, but now dominated more than ever by malice. Well, there's still some Sheikah tech left for transport, as seen from the text of this platform, what appears to be the new Sheikah towers. Still, the reused surface of Hyrule is facing its greatest crisis. A Ganondorf hellbent on bringing the apocalypse to every tribe that opposes him. He made it clear in his own words.
Rise, rise, my servants. Sweep over Hyrule. Eliminate this kingdom and her allies. Leave no survivors!
He doesn't want to rule the people of Hyrule as their king as he has done in the past. No, he aims to get rid of them and replace every living humanoid race, minus perhaps the Yiga clan, with his army of the demon tribe, which rises with the returning Blood Moon. Not once, but again and again, thanks to one of the most brilliant open world mechanics in Zelda. Needless to say, we fell in love with the Blood Moon as it turned Breath of the Wild into a truly endless open world combat title. You see, on the surface we could run out of side quests, NPC interactions, shrines and divine beasts, but never enemies and overworld bosses to fight. In Tears of the Kingdom, it appears to be no different, and right now we see how this is a game we'll be able to continue to play on our save files for years on end. Especially when we'll be able to build or craft land and air-based vehicles and weapons with the distant past and regular materials we collect. Well, that and the green glue-like substance or adhesive to keep the mechanical parts together. A game that will motivate us to customize as much as possible, mainly since this build a vehicle or weapon feature appears to also have a Nintendo Switch Online functionality. We can share the blueprint of our creations in 2023, 2024 and even after successor is out. Since I can't see Nintendo not releasing an Ultimate Edition for the next system, which will run the open world even better than what we see here. Well, actually not, as this footage is already upscaled in 4K. With that told, this game looks like a massive visual improvement from Breath of the Wild. Heck, it looks miles better than it did in any of its trailers up to 2022. And it shows that the Zelda team are improving everything to make this game work as intended, all while pushing new boundaries, including graphical ones on the Nintendo Switch. Far superior draw distance on the existing surface is one key accomplishment to add even more immersion. But with that being said, despite getting an awesome scene with the three-headed Gleeok Dragon boss that awaits us on Great Hyrule Bridge, we still need to see underwater gameplay. That is the one thing missing to have a completely seamless, reinvented open world. Well, that and NPCs, as we have only seen locations where we know they are present. Hateno Village in particular. At the same time, there's just so much to love about the altered surface with new enemies, including boss bokoblins, Molduga bosses in new locations, and of course apart from that, pretty much everything in new locations or in altered form. And on top of that, probably far more gameplay tweaks that we're yet to see. This stretches to even the most minor minecart gameplay, which looks far more exciting from the top of Death Mountain, and the same goes for shield surfing, as we can now shred the same rates. Just another example of keeping everything great from Breath of the Wild and just adding to it, while also replacing what needed to be. With new towers replacing the ancient Sheikah towers, and even so, these might also be tied to the Sheikah, as we have already mentioned. There are just so many new enemies both on the ground and above it that it makes us wonder where this will all end. And best of all, where there used to be nothing, there are now key landmarks, and this shuffling of the world makes us eager to explore it all over again. Not only that, but plenty of other big changes to this landscape, as there are significant alterations due to Ganondorf's return, both when it comes to environmental hazards as the malice and storm clouds we have seen in the box art and footage, but also in the alterations of the landscapes itself. Everything from the climate and malice attacks to his army feels far more menacing, and with orders to slaughter everyone who opposes him, he's truly the new king in the castle. The surface is the new death trap, with only one true protector preventing the ultimate tragedy of 100 years ago from repeating, but on an even worse scale. Link the hero, and through him, us the player. Just as Zelda stated,
"But Link, I am not sure you'll be able to stop him."
This time it will be harder than it has been for any past incarnation of the spirit of the hero, as this Link begins to rival the hero of time when it comes to how much he has to deal with on this surface, protecting his home, village and allies from the true forces of evil, with the power of Banjo-Kazooie nuts and bolts like vehicles and even hot air balloons, all which seems that we'll be building ourselves. My only concern thus far on this surface is that we have to keep on fighting the same malice bosses based on this particular scene and counter what seems to be the equivalent to Zelda's fully awakened power. Ganondorf has never been stronger in any game before, and hence the only hope is for Link to locate the fallen rocks from the kingdom above and time reverse them to make it up to Hyrule's most powerful, but at the same time also most demanding allies. The sky, the domain of courage, spirits and the divine masters. Right here we find the answers, but also requirements, the teased in September and our steelbook case, 7 Tears of the Kingdom, all surrounding this divine figure. If there's one force that Ganondorf fears despite his record levels of malice, then it is the powers Link can obtain in the sky, both for repairing and enhancing his Master Sword, but also his new spiritual hand. Naturally, the second one is very useful in solving certain rune-based puzzles. Well, that and building vehicles to hover up here on the path to the next monstrosity, or if you prefer Block Titan aiming to crushing. Or sky islands that force us to make our way higher and higher up in this ultimate layer that at last nearly 12 years after Skyward Sword will bring the potential of the sky to its fullest potential. With trials/boss fights, plenty of lore and encounters and gifts from potentially Goddess Hylia herself, or at the very least a Zelda of the present or past. The Sky Islands are also far more numerous than we could have anticipated and feel more than ever as an open world above the surface open world. Giant pieces of land that we can move between with multiple different modes of transportation to reach the entry point of more floating territory, including potentially the Lome labyrinths that are now up in the sky. The same goes for the Great Deku if he is still alive. All while we are surrounded by some of the most golden and Japanese-inspired spiritual surroundings in any video game since Okami. The torii gates, the pagoda-like temples, and the golden ginkgo leaves point to what is the inspiration behind what could be the Legend of Zelda series equivalent of heaven. Not only that, these areas stretch so much further up than we could have possibly imagined, with certain sky islands being stacked in a way that you have to climb and climb and climb again steep vertical surfaces to even reach the island closest to the new edge of vertical Hyrule. At the same time, the true genius of the Sky Islands does not seem to lay in its stone automatons, or even potential dungeons that we're still waiting to see confirmed or deconfirmed, but rather the way it is connected to the surface. As the true genius lays in Link's ability to skydive from these islands down to the surface in an instant, and equally make his way from the surface up here with the power of the new hand. Either by time reversing fallen sky rocks back to where they fell from, so sky islands which can only be reached this way, and more so by making the transition across the top and middle layers as seamless as possible, all aiming at not breaking the gameplay flow, all while keeping it as organic as possible and in a sense realistic for our senses by granting a familiarity that has never been brought in this industry before. Definitely not on this scope. Though that realism is also bent despite taking inspiration from technology and vehicles from our own world, when the Zelda team wants to have fun with technology. Their presence most likely from the sky. What we're witnessing here is a perfected formula of a team which is simply going for gold, and once again Game of the Year awards for pushing the video game industry into the right direction, even when they priced this game at a higher rate than any Nintendo game up to this point. But with this open world genius, a price of $69.99 is actually nice. A vertical one at that, as that has been the ambition for Zelda since Skyward Sword, and to some extent even earlier. Pushing it to the limit as Link walks along the razor's edge across the 3 layers after Ganondorf has laid out his traps and foes. It has always been gameplay first and story second when it comes to Zelda, though I'm sitting with a feeling that this title, despite being equally as non-linear as Breath of the Wild, will still provide a narrative told more in present times across the 3 layers, but also provide the traditional dungeon gameplay challenges. But what do you think? Is Tears of the Kingdom a truly genius 3-layered open world title? Sound off in the comment section down below. If you haven't already, then be sure to leave a like, subscribe and press the notification bell as it helps this video and the channel to grow. Last but not least, a big thanks to you for watching until the end, and to all our patreon.com/CameronPatrons, patrons, and in particular our raw producer Charles Shash. You rock, and please enjoy one or both of these 2 awesome videos.